The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Musa Dangiwa, on Tuesday inaugurated 4 reform task teams towards the realization of the presidential deliverables for the housing sector in the country. According to the minister, the committees, including the Housing Institutions Reform Task Team, the Multi-Agency Project Delivery Team, the Land Reform Task Team, and Building Materials Manufacturing Hubs Task Team, are expected to unlock the massive potential of the housing sector. They are expected to accelerate government's plans to deliver decent and affordable housing to Nigerians. Arise news analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to discuss the plan and its touted potential. Welcome to the program, and I have to say, Happy New Year to you, Mr. Sobowale. I haven't seen you this year.
Nice seeing you again.
All right then. So yes, all right then. So I mean, we can see that the immediate and extremely visible consequence of urban population growth in the housing shortage crisis, and we're seeing the body language of the president with this, different tasks, reforms that have been set in place. Now, I want to put this to you. What should these teams be focusing on? What should be their core objectives? What is the starting point to help eliminate the bottlenecks in housing development?
Yes, you have to identify the bottlenecks first. Although, as it is now, they are laying down their plans. That's what the minister is doing. And he knows what he's doing because he's an architect, he's been in the industry. He was MD Federal Mortgage Bank before he came here. So he knows his onions and the plans are there. As usual with Nigeria, it's the execution of the plan that is the issue. He said they will be ready to make us know what they intend to do in about 8 weeks' time. So let us now look at the bottlenecks or the problems of housing in Nigeria. You have estates all over the place. Almost every state has an estate. But invariably, those estates are not being inhabited because they are not affordable, even where they are available. And the minister himself, even before he came there, highlighted a housing deficit of 17 million, okay, from 10 million to 17 million. He said the data was daunting, but it's not discouraged. But then, I think he's suspicious of the data, that we need to get our data right on housing before we move, even though he's ready to execute his own plan. Now, on a personal scale, I would say the housing industry in Nigeria is littered with corruption, up and down. You see estate agents all over the place. Look at the beautiful estates in Lekki or all over Nigeria in secluded places. They can only be affordable to people who have made money by some miraculous means. You can afford them. The average Nigerian does not even know where such houses where they exist. So if and you see, it's not as if Nigeria is a stranger to urban rehabilitation and planning or reconstruction. We have always been at it. Since First Act. Yes. Go and look at First Act. If you go around First Act, you will see that this was supposed to be a beautiful town. But maintenance of the roads and different things and insecurity have turned it into another thing entirely. But you see, this minister knows the bottlenecks they are running into. My first advice to him is that he should not rely on anyway, he's an architect himself, because the industry now is polluted with estate managers who have no knowledge of estate management, but who are there, who will skyrocket the price so that they can get 10%. You get me? And go away. So the government must find a way of helping workers get access to loans that are repayable at a rate that will not cripple their purchasing power. See, they should copy what is being done in the banks. In the bank, after you are confirmed, after a certain period, you can apply for housing loan. Get me? And you can pay it maybe 10 years, 15 years, depending on your age, as at the time you are applying. And they make sure that the payment schedule is such that it is, you don't get loan in which you repay for more than half your salary, so that you don't get into embarrassment or self-impoverishment. The government should borrow a leaf from that. And again, there's here, you see, he mentions several areas of reform: land reform, land use, synergy between the various departments, and then one key issue: land use, land reform. Those are enough. You see the Land Use Act. It has made it difficult for some people to invest in some places, or for people to want to buy or build houses in areas of their choice. If you go to Lekki, you anywhere in the southwest, in urban area, and you start clearing the land, some people will run up and say they are the original landowners.
Yeah.
Whereas somebody told me, a lawyer, a minute later, that said Land Use Act is a fraud. Because nobody created land, it was God who created land. And then people are saying, hey. But then you see the fraud on land acquisition and the attendant wealth is almost even traditional. But traditional rulers, they give out land as largesse, because it is assumed they own it. I think that is, see, culturally fraudulent. You get me? But that is what obtains in most places. And if you have such things, it is difficult to have land, except of course through Land Use Act, which means the government itself has seized land.
Yeah.
You get me? And given out to people. But the important thing, the selling point of these ideas, all what the lofty ideas that the architect minister has put on the ground, all of them will come to naught if the low-ranking Nigerians cannot afford them.
Yeah.
So let them make the houses affordable by the grace of God, and then make them affordable by all means.
Well said. We have about 1 minute with you, Mr. Sobowale.
Yes.
Based on all these recommendations you've made in terms of emulating the bank, help workers get access to loans without hindering their purchasing power, also the data matter and the corruption aspect, do you think 8 weeks is enough?
No, to get the plan ready. That's what they said.
Okay, when you factor all these in.
It's too long.
Is it too long?
Yes.
It is.
It's to get the law. It's to get the plan ready, not to put the houses on the ground.
I know.
Go and ready. No,
I mean,
for this committee,
they're supposed to come up with reforms in 8 weeks. So I'm saying if they factor all these things that you've mentioned, which are important, do you think that it will 8 weeks will be fine?
8 weeks will be okay. 8 weeks will be okay, of course.
So we have to check
because
back
they are mostly professional in their field now.
Yes.
Okay. That's the principal, the minister's team, not the estate agents. So that's it.
So 8 weeks is enough?
Yes.
Great.
Inshallah. Yes.
All right, then. Thank you so much.